just finished doing my last delivery for the night. I did 2 sets of 2 deliveries and then 1 delivery on its own. It was a pizza delivery, but they like didn't have bacon or something, and the guy wanted bacon on it. So they made a whole other pizza with pepperoni because I couldn't get a hold of him, and then I got a hold of him on my phone, and he said he wanted pepperoni. So instead of like just adding pepperoni, they made a whole fresh one. Would have got that extra pizza, but I'm not too hungry right now, and I can't really. I have foil. I could save it in my cooler. I could use the energy, rev up my cooler tonight before I go to bed, cool everything up in there, and have the pizza cold and wrapped in tinfoil for like tomorrow and the next day. I'd have to, run the cooler tomorrow too, probably, if I didn't eat all tomorrow. But it's not easy. It's not easy to cook things like you would throw in an oven, like pizza or like a microwave, that easy with what I have. Like liquid things I can heat up, liquid things I can cook, different things like pasta, but things that you have to throw, I think specifically like a microwave or an oven, I don't really have. I have the grilled chimney charcoal grill thing. I could use that. Again, it's difficult to cook with that because it's easy to burn like one side of the pizza. I think that happened earlier in one of my videos. Like you have to really be on top of how much you have it on each side with that. And I don't know, it's just too much work. So I just said, if I give them the extra pizza, maybe they'll give me more money on the tip. And not most of that pizza is not going to go to waste and not going to be as much of a hassle to have for like leftovers or something. So I just let them have the extra pizza. But that's one perk of doing Uber Eats deliveries is a lot of times, I'd say like maybe once every, how often do I get free food? Like once every like 2 weeks, something will happen where an order will get messed up or an order will get canceled, or, I've had orders I couldn't go to because of things I had in my van, or I couldn't get into certain facilities or something. So, and they, Uber didn't notify, this order is special or something until like you're going through the order. So I ended up getting that food. Or when I was in Texas and I did Uber Eats a couple days ago, it rained so hard and it was like downpouring and stuff and like thunder and lightning, and I got a flash flood warning on my phone for a few hours, and I was just like, fuck this, it's not worth it. My home is my like means of transportation, is not worth the risk. So I just pulled over, canceled the order. I didn't make any money on the order, which sometimes you do actually make money when you cancel the orders. You cancel too many, you can't make money on them, which makes sense. But I mean, I got free food. I wasn't gonna drive through middle of like a flash flood downpour. It just wasn't worth it. I apologize to the person who didn't get their food. The vegetable soup was excellent. But yeah, it's a pretty good gig. I feel like I didn't really work. I just drive around, I dropped off 5 orders in about 4 hours, and I made about, when it's all said and done and I get the rest of the tips, usually some additional tips transfer the next day most of the time, like maybe depending on how many you do, like 10%, 5 to 10% of what you made that day. You might get an additional tips the next day, because sometimes people don't tip you till they don't open the app up until like the next day or the next time they order again. So sometimes you get extra. I'll guesstimate. I made about 40 tonight. It could probably, there's a high chance it'd be about $50 tomorrow on 5 orders that took about 4 hours. It's a really sweet gig. Depending on like if you're in an area that you can get orders, rapidly one after the other. It's a little hit and miss here. I did have to drive a little bit to get some of them. Seemed to get more orders later at night, or orders easier later at night after like 7 or 8. So the weekends seem to be a little bit better. Makes a little bit of a difference depending on doing it on during the week. especially midday in this area. So, sorry if I bored you with all these Uber Eats statistics, but just a little breakdown of firsthand experience, things I've had to deal with Uber, the pros, the cons. Today wasn't the best navigating. I was using to defer me to the Google Maps. Google Maps had a tough time syncing with the roads, knowing where one-ways were, knowing where dead ends were in parks. So I kind of had to like zoom out on the map and like look at my end point and figure out the best way to just head in a certain direction and hope that Google Maps could pick up the slack. And eventually it did. But all not a bad gig. Pretty sweet gig, making $50 in 4 hours. And on top of that, being able to just find gas at about 30 cents less than the average rate, and then being able to find water at 25 cents a gallon, when before that the cheapest I was finding water was in Walmart for $1 a gallon. So just a bargain eagle eye shopper. When you rent an apartment, you own a house, you don't really get an opportunity to shop for these things, for water and electricity. Gas is my electricity because the gas powers my van powers my battery, charges my battery. How much power or energy I use, whether I use my laptop more in a day, things that use more energy. My cooler takes more energy away from my car battery. I'm going to need to run my car battery more, or my car more, to keep my car battery charged. It trickles all the way down to gas, depending on what I use in energy. So, like, completely conscientious of, like, today I'm going to be using my phone. Today I'm going to be using my laptop. Today I have this much charge in my jackery. Got a new car battery versus an old car battery. It's just a complete chain reaction of one resource that people kind of overlook because they pay a fixed standard rate in most cases in this country, and you just kind of, it is what it is. You're like, fucking, sometimes some people do pay relative to the amount of electricity they use or the amount of water that they use, but in a lot of cases it's usually a fixed rate, and like they just, it is what it is. But in this case, living in a van, my gas, my water are completely, they're resources that I buy and use remotely. So being able to find them at a cheaper price makes all the difference in the world. And, my choice in my daily activities, the amount I work out, the amount I use my laptop, the amount I do work on my channel and use things on my laptop versus my phone, completely change the amount and completely affect the amount of those two major resources that I use. So planning everything out, if I don't have as much of one thing in one area, I don't have as much of one thing in my van, I'd be like, all right, I can only work out twice this week. I can't work out because, I'd rather work on the channel and, shower or wash, whatever, twice a week versus 3 or 4 times a week if I'm working out more. So living in a van, a stealth van where you are able to use these kind of resources, pretty conveniently, because you have a stealth situation, a stealth setup where you can kind of just be, it's not like I have a big trailer camper and it's obvious that I'm in commercial lots with, I don't know if you can see it, the ice water station, things like that. I can just, chill in this lot for more time, maybe not all the time, but like more time than I would. But a lot of Texas is pretty good for finding parking with a stealth van. you're going to find a lot of big commercial lots, active and inactive, with plenty of cars parked overnight, whether they have people in them or don't have people in them. There's cars parked all around, at least like the two cities I've been in, Waco and Austin. So you're not going to have a problem finding parking. Stealth van in Texas. But, I think a lot of cases, if you have a van like that, like a van that is more obvious that it's a camping van, you kind of just stock up your resources at your checkpoints or your, wherever you mark out to pick up your resources. Or you are limited to only staying in places where you have water and electrical hookups.